Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Good morning, good afternoon. This is Shabbir Gilani from Tilli. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for the organization, have been here for about a little over a year. I welcome everybody attending this webinar to kind of give you some backdrop on who we are, Tilli as an organization, what solutions we provide to market, and how we're helping our existing customers. We'll run through a 30-minute overview. At the end of this session, we will field any questions, last-minute questions, whether it's through any LinkedIn questions or through specifically questions that you would want to send to us to email. We'll either follow through with those responses post this webinar, but we'll be able to field some questions at the end as well if we have some time. So I will go ahead and present my presentation. So Tilli is, started back in 2014 as a management consulting practice, specifically within the utilities, specifically within the ERP segment. And we are headquartered in Bethesda, Maryland. We have regional footprint in North America as well as in India, and are expanding into other markets quite rapidly. And as part of its origins, because we came from the ERP as well as management consulting practice, specifically within the utility segment, we started to morph into electronic bill presentment and payments capabilities, and started to build technology around gaps that we saw in the market within our existing customer base, within working with either in-house solution technology teams or third-party technology teams. We started to build tech around that, and we'll get into some of the components around some of the capabilities that we offer. But the management consulting practice, because of the subject matter expertise that we have within the ERP space, within utilities, we've now expanded the consulting practice outside of the utility segment. So insurance, government, media, communications, anywhere that ties into, again, the electronic bill presentment and payment. So when it comes to bill pay capabilities, and any type of biller that is issuing a bill to a consumer for whatever services that they're providing, we fall within that segment from a licensing technology as well as a consulting practice. Here you'll notice that over the years we've followed certain certifications, processes, compliance, regulatory standards, depending on the footprint and region that we fall into. On the left side, you'll see some of the awards based on our tech and the feedback that we received from some of our customers and industry experts. On the right, you'll see some of the certifications. We are SAP certified integrated partner. We're moving to Oracle as well. SOC 2 compliant, ISO 27001, ISO 20022 as well. And then we are a minority owned status within multiple states in the US, as well as part of the National Supplier Development Council. These are some of our existing customers that are leveraging a mix between the technologies that we offer around bill presentment, digital communications, and I'll walk you through some of those components shortly. And then some of the other consulting practices. And again, this is a global footprint that we're starting to expand into that are leveraging our consulting initiatives, especially because the subject matter expertise that we have within the ERP space, within the bill presentment space, and payments. These are some of our customer partners that we've worked with, we've established, and are moving to expand this this opportunity to kind of build our channel partnership program, not only regionally, specifically within the Americas, but also expanding to other regions as well. So as I alluded to, there's a component of our offerings to market that tied into our start back in 2014 when we focused around management consulting. And, some of our customers still leverage us from that perspective. We do get pulled into net new opportunities where we can provide consultant engagements as well as advisory consultant practices offerings that on behalf of our existing customers that are, for example, going through an ERP migration or ERP rip and replace or enhancements, depending on if it's SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, Guidewire, just to name a few. On the right side are the solutions that we've built out over those years. Gaps that we've noticed in the market with our existing customers, trends that we're seeing in the market as far as when it comes to bill presentment, and we built technology around that. The Nudge is a communication platform as a service, so it's a CPaaS, which allows a lot of our customers to nudge their customers to do a call to action. One of those call to actions can be a bill presentment. Another call to action can just be an alert, a notification. If we're thinking within the utilities, water, gas, electric sector, then some of the notifications could be an outage. We even do geofencing to only focus on if a tree goes down in a specific area, a couple of homes are affected, then the Nudge solution only sends an alert to those that are affected. So it's a call to action, but focused primarily around the bill presentment. So a monthly bill goes out, they owe a certain amount. It allows them to make a payment and then process those payments. And then also at the same time updating. And I'll get into the actual workflow in my next slide. Monet is our payment gateway, but it also falls within several buckets. So Monet, when we process a bill presentment, it follows through a payments acceptance page where a customer can put in their debit card, credit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, different types of alternative payment methods, and allows them to process that payment. We also fall within the consumer wallet framework as well as banking as a service and digital ledger. And I'll explain that in some of the other slides. Our Tilli CX is a customer portal. So it allows a lot of the billers to kind of white label the customer portal where the customer logs in on a website at the customer site and then can access their bill, their usage, their consumption, all the details around saving their payment information. If they want to save their debit card, their credit card, they would do that at the Tilli CX customer experience portal. So from a product suite perspective, the different channels and integrations that I kind of alluded to. So if we focus on the Nudge solution was a communication solution, a platform as a service, you'll start to notice different channels. And we've built these channels based on trends and our customer feedback. So SMS, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is more prevalent overseas in global regions than it is here in the US, but the capabilities are set up. We can operate in 200 countries for SMS and text, and globally, of course, for WhatsApp. Chatbot, same thing, the capabilities of allowing the customer experience to interact with the chatbot to ask for questions, get a response, do a call to action. So we offer that as part of our chatbot experience. Kiosks, smart speakers, asking Alexa what my bill is due for my electric for the month of September, since we're at the end of the month. And Alexa actually providing that and then asking Alexa to then facilitate a payment. That payment gateway is in the back end set up within our technology, but Alexa is initiating that payment to process that payment. So we have the smart speaker integrations in place. IVR, web, mobile, and also we're dabbling in cryptocurrency as well as a form of payment method. So I won't spend too much time here, but you can see the different types of processes and the different types of communication channels when it comes to nudge. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time here, which shows the flow on specific types of use cases. So as I mentioned before, there are three solutions. There's Nudge, which is a communication platform as a service, Tilli CX, which is a customer portal, and you have the Monet at the bottom. Now, the critical piece here, and I'll bring out my laser pointer very quickly. So Nudge itself, if we stick to that use case, and we'll talk about Tilli CX and Monet in a little bit, but we would have an ERP sitting here, whether it's SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, Guidewire, to name a few. We would have access with real-time data integrations using our REST APIs into that ERP or that system of record. In some instances, some customers may use a CRM, such as Salesforce, some other type of database, but a system of record on its own. So if we think of insurance, utilities, media entertainment, education, public sector, telecom are likely using an ERP or a CRM equivalent, where it houses a lot of the meter reads or the usage amounts that allows for different types of mechanisms to focus around bills, right? And that system of record is sitting in that ERP. However, if we're thinking about banking and finance, usually the system of record is a core banking system. So for us, it doesn't really matter the type of system that's there. It's a system of record. Our APIs will connect in there because if we think about banking and finance, you're thinking about lending vehicles. So mortgage payments, auto loans, student loans, consumer finance, all will be sitting in a core banking system. Nudge will just integrate into that system of record, that core banking system, to then pull a customer data, the amount that they owe for that month or for that quarter, whatever the billing cycle is, and then initiating a bill presentment, which is one of the selections that are here as part of the templates that are created within the Nudge platform. So we'll go back to a utility, water, gas, electric. So let's just pick an electric company, right? Electric sends out a notification, a bill presentment to the consumer. It could be 8 million customers, depending on the utility size and the customer base and the region and footprint that they have. But let's assume it's about 8 million customers, right? Each customer has a preference to opt in and opt out of receiving a communication. In most cases, some customers will prefer to receive an email. Others will receive a WhatsApp if it's more outside of the US. Others will receive an SMS text message. They want to opt in to receive that. So they have the ability to choose the preferences in communication. So we'll stick specifically for this use case as an SMS text message. So that utility will then send 8 million or up to 5 million, depending on how many customers are receiving a text message. Let's assume 5 million out of the 8 million will receive a text message. They'll receive a bill presentment. Now, all of these call to actions are created within Nudge. They are template. We have a template generator, very user-friendly. At the user level, they're able to create a lot of these different templates. They don't have to come to us. They don't have to go to their internal IT staff to build these templates out. It's very user-friendly to allow the users. The only thing we recommend, Tilli recommends, is to do a maker checker. So if there's an initiator of a template, then the supervisor or an approver is approving the content and the framework and the logos before it gets sent out to the 5 to 8 million customers. So that's the only recommendations we provide. However, the template generator is pretty self-explanatory, very easy to configure. So in this case, a bill presentment goes out to a consumer. It's an SMS text message. Within the text message, it will say, Joe Smith, your account number is this. You owe for the month of September $200 for your electric bill, right? And that text message can have, the nomenclature of that utility so that Joe knows that this is coming from his electric company. So once that text message comes out to Joe, Joe will then initiate a pay. He will type in pay, right? And instructions will actually explain to him to type in pay. Once he clicks pay, what it's going to do is it's going to hit the Monet payment gateway. From here, Joe should already have saved a payment method, whether it's a debit, credit card, international card, ACH debit card, as well as now alternative payment methods, which we've now incorporated in Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, just to name a few, right? And it depends on different regions as well, what type of wallets, because a lot of the generations now moving towards digital wallets as a mechanism of payments, whether it's bill or e-commerce transactions or person-to-person flows, right? So Joe will then type in pay. The payment gateway will then pick up on the saved card information, payment method, and then process that payment. And automatically, keep in mind, as we noted up here, we have real-time data feed coming from an ERP, a CRM, a core banking into Nudge, because we're pulling that data in real time about Joe and the other 5 million customers who are receiving a text message. And then we're sending those notifications out. Once that payment has been processed, we then update the ERP that has been processed. Reconciliation happens depending on the payment method, whether it's T+1, T+2, depending on the cycle of settlement. We then update that ERP or that CRM or that core banking that Joe and the other 4 million customers are now current. Now, even though 4 million customers, 5 million had received a notification, 1 million is still pending. What Nudge can then do is Nudge already has the information and already cross-checked on those customers that are current and those that have still a pending amount. A Nudge notification can then be sent out because you're nudging the customer to do a call to action. In this case, a bill presentment. A new Nudge notification or recurring nudges can be sent out with a penalty notification in there to state that in addition to the $200, because you haven't made a payment on the first nudge, if you don't pay by a certain time in the next 3 days or next 5 days, however the utility wants to structure these templates, you will be fined 10% of your amount, or $20 more, or whatever it is, or and once those nudges have gone out, if there's a termination or shut off notification, those can also be done. Now, the interesting thing is, if we're thinking about, let's just switch over from electric to water as a utility. The water companies, especially when it comes to shut off services, are required to go out to the home. Utility crews go out to home and they shut off the water at the main outside of an individual's home. So if a number of nudges have gone out, right, and there's a subset of customers that have yet to make a payment, right, penalty fees have been added on, they still haven't made a payment, and now it's a shut off time. We do something called mobile field payments, leveraging Nudge solution, which means that the Nudge system is actually sending a notification out to you that today a utility crew or one of our representatives will be at your home by this timeline to shut off your water supply at your home. If you don't make a payment in the next hour, next 2 hours, whatever the timeline is. So if you're at home, you receive that notification for shut off for that day, you can make a payment immediately through Nudge to process that payment. We then update the ERP. The ERP then dispatches to that representative that's driving to multiple homes to shut off to say, skip this home, they've made a payment. So that real-time data, real-time alerts is critical. And it provides the customer experience the ability and flexibility to process payments and efficiently. Now, of course, the Nudge can also be used, as I mentioned before, for alerts. Right, there's a notification, there's an outage, storm knocked down trees, a power main line is or water line has been interrupted, and you have no water, no gas, no electric. A notification and outage alert can be sent out. Nudge is also now being leveraged for customer agreements as well as e-bill adoption campaigns. So, as you know, as a biller, we have a subset of customers that are still receiving their bills through mail and writing checks to process those payments, or using cash to do a walk-in to make a payment. The e-bill adoption campaign with our customers, we've seen an uptick utilizing Nudge to entice those customers to move into the digital ecosystem. In other words, receiving a digital communication, making a payment through digital channels, right? And for that, you get an incentive off your next month's bill. Whatever the utility or whatever the biller wants to provide as an incentive, we've seen an uptick based on those incentives, an uptick, an increase in percentage of e-bill adoption campaigns, right? Customers moving away from paying cash or using a check and receiving a mail to moving into the digital ecosystem. So all those components can be created within Nudge. Nudge is also being leveraged for marketing communications, right? So if there's a new solution, new offering, or there's other types of mechanisms to improve your energy efficiencies by doing certain things at home, all of those are marketing communications and can be sent out to customers leveraging the Nudge, right? Nudge allows you to add logos, videos, additional content within that communication that's going out to the customer based on the preferences that they've opted in. So that's kind of where the different solutions, Nudge and Monet. Tilli CX, as I mentioned, is a customer portal, allows the customers to go on to a white label offering, buy that utility, buy that insurance company, to then take a look at their consumption, their usage, their historical payments that they've made, make changes to their saved card information. There's a lot of different types of customizable capabilities based on the industry that we're talking to or the organization that we're talking to modify that customer experience portal specifically for their use case, right? And specifically for what the customers are utilizing them or how information is being provided to the customers. So we're able to modify and be nimble enough to kind of adjust based on the customer's needs. What I'll do is now I'll move over to Monet, because this is kind of interesting opportunity for us to kind of expand on, in addition to Monet being a payment gateway, what are the types of offerings and capabilities we provide? So very quickly, Monet falls into three buckets, right? And from a perspective of those three buckets, we mentioned the payment gateway. Monet is also a stored value wallet, and I'll expand on that a little bit. We're also being pulled into having conversations around expanding this into a super app concept. But the stored value wallet is simply similar to a number of different wallets that are out there that allows you to do P2P flows, sending money from one individual to another individual in real time. Also C2B, so you can utilize the wallet, the consumer wallet that can be downloaded either in iOS or Android, to then purchase product online as an e-commerce transaction experience. So if you want to go to Amazon.com or Etsy to purchase a certain type of product, a t-shirt, different types of offerings that they provide, you can utilize the stored value wallet to do that, to do a C2B flow. And then the other component is the banking as a service model, a digital ledger. Right. So I'll expand on that just in my next slide, which will kind of help frame the conversation between what we think about, what the market offers, and what our tech actually is ready for. So here, as a banking as a service digital ledger component, the way we're thinking about Monet is a modernization layer, right? A lot of the core banking systems that are out there are very legacy based, older technology. While they are tried and tested, can handle substantial amount of volumes, right? Their deployment is difficult to replace with a new provider, right? It takes quite a bit of time to try to create a mechanism to do a rip and replace. So what we offer is the Monet solution is a modernization layer over on top of those legacy solutions. However, in addition to that, you can also tie in the Monet wallet. So if we look at the right side, the circular slide, the diagram, you'll see at the outer layer in the green is what most of the core banking, especially the modern core banking systems, offer, right? On the right side, KYC, AML, fraud, branchless banking, electronic bill presentment. These are some of the components. In addition, on the left side, you see loans, accounting. The way we've kind of structured it and what Tilly's kind of plugged in as part of the modern core's capabilities and the modernization layer of what Monet can actually do is that Monet and Nudge, which are Tilly's solutions, the miscellaneous is stuff that we cannot do. We're slowly moving into that from a roadmap perspective. But for current capabilities, as of today, especially with the Monet, there's two buckets: risk management and payments. So when we think about the consumer wallet, and let's just assume we pick a emerging market region that has customers that don't have access to a branch because depending on where they're located, allows for branchless banking, right? So and in addition to that, allows for registration of new customers. Now when you register to be a new customer, you do have to go through a KYC, KYB process, depending on the regulatory requirements for that region and what the banks are required to do when they bring on a new customer. So Monet allows those customers that don't have access to go to a branch to kind of onboard a lot of this stuff, right? Onboard their identification, onboard some of the other information that is required, how much depository information that they want to what they call register for. So that is then cross-checked in the back end to check for AML, any type of screening for that customer, background checks before they are approved to open up an account, right? As an example. Monet also covers all the payments, right? When it ties into the core banking, because Monet's APIs will tie into the core banking system. As I mentioned earlier, it's a system of record for us, right? But that Monet solution offers branchless banking, the ability for the consumer or the retail customer of that bank to manage their bills. They can do that because the Monet wallet allows you to add bills, because it's a bill aggregator, within the Monet wallet and manage their finances. It's a payment gateway, as I've alluded to. You can cover virtual cards, ACH, APMs, alternative payment methods, smart payment page, and then of course the mobile app, right? So consumers are downloading the app. They have access to digital online banking capabilities. They can take a look at their activities, their checking account, their savings account, transfer money, utilize P2P flows in the same way we here in the US use Zelle. So all those components are already built. The Nudge solution is part of the modern core banking system, allows for notifications, right? It could be fraud alerts, right? A transaction has been done at a different location where the system doesn't recognize that you've made a transaction in that region, and alerts you that, is this transaction done by you or one of your family members? If not, then we will hold or at least do a credit back to the account because this was designated as a fraud. Bill presentment, as we mentioned already, surveys, informs, and customer preferences and marketing, right? Banks can then start to send out different types of new services, new account, new credit card information, which ties into marketing campaigns to its retail customers as well. Very quickly, and short on time in the next few more minutes, we have the ability of allowing the consumer wallet to kind of evolve into a super app. The components around the consumer wallet, right? You have the basic capabilities of quick pay, balance, virtual cards associated to the Monet wallet. At the bottom, you'll be able to see notifications if it's a P2P flow, right? A notification from an individual for a payment request, right? If it's a merchant, somebody that's cutting your grass can send you a request to make a payment. The Monet wallet has the capability of doing that. Below, it's the home, the transaction, the activities that you see in the same way you would have online banking capabilities. The visibility from the Monet app to actually take a look at your bank account, notifications, again, tying into the Nudge component, and then the account as well. Now, the critical piece here is that when we think about the super app, right, we start to add segments. On here, manage bills, again, bill aggregator, we have that covered. Mobile top up, no problem. Online banking, already in place. However, in the different regions, right, we can start to integrate into the Expedias, the Orbits, or other regions to allow or hotels.com to order and book travel lodging, lodging, right? Utility bills, it's going to be tied into managing your bills. Water, gas, electric bills are coming in. You can facilitate a payment. Any type of bus service, flights, rail, different types of, whether you want to order food, order taxi, the same components as a super app allows you to do. We have those components in there in place to offer that as a service as we start to evolve the super app. Lastly, and what I'll actually do is kind of skip over this. This gives you an idea of the market, specifically with India, because that is our footprint. And we're happy to share this deck. But we do want to kind of showcase the fact that if there's any interest from anybody that's participating on this webinar to utilize Tilli, we have the ability to go into a requirements gathering phase, doing a POC or pilot within a QA environment pre-contract, so that you have the ability to see how the system actually works, right? So we engage our customers before they become customers to kind of work through the different types of capabilities that we have. And at that point, the webinar is now going to be concluded. We do allow for any Q&A at this time. However, if you are interested in getting in touch with us, please send an email to discover@tilli.pro, or you can visit our site at tilli.pro to gather more information and also contact us from that perspective. Thank you, and appreciate you joining us for today's session.